Yes, we looked at God's care for his people. We looked at what? God's care for his people. And we saw what God did for the people of Israel, isn't it? By helping them through his servant known as who? Moses. Moses led them out of Egypt. And God continues to show such cares in so many ways, even in the modern time. And today we're going to look at parental responsibility. We're going to look at what? Parental responsibility. In CRS, as a Christian father or Christian mother, what are your responsibilities for your kids? What are you supposed to do for your kids? What is your divine role for your children? What are your divine functions for your children? And this could be seen as in the example of Eli and Samuel. In the book of 1 Samuel chapter 2 from verse 11 towards 36, chapter 3 from verse 2 towards 18, chapter 4 from verse 10 towards 22, and chapter 8 from verse 1 towards 5. Is it 5 or 15? 5. So the Bible says, the psalmist says that children are the heritage from the word Lord. You understand? When you have kids, you should know that those kids are what? God-given. Those kids are what? God-given. The fruit of the womb is its reward. This means that parents have great responsibility in the training of their children in the way of the word Lord. In the way of the Lord. It is your responsibility to train your kids in the way of the Lord. Exactly. If you have your kid and you say that this child doesn't pray, he doesn't obey, he doesn't do this one, he doesn't do that one, it is your responsibility to make the child to be doing the right things, isn't it? Right from the time the child is still very young, that's when you impart the knowledge or you impart the way of life that you want the child to grow up with. So it says that the parents provide material, social and spiritual needs of the children, isn't it? You are the person that will encourage the child to be reading the Bible. If you don't teach your child how to read the Bible when he's young, when he grows up, will he be able to be reading the Bible? He cannot do that. It's only the way you train the child. So what is the divine role of parents to their kids? The divine role of the parents to the kids is to bring them up in the fear of the word, the Lord. You have to bring your child up in the fear of the Lord. You have to make sure that your child, when he or she is still young, develop the fear for what? God. You know that the Ten Commandments says that you must have the Lord as your God and only God, isn't it? It says that you should not steal, isn't it? It says that you should not go and take somebody else's wife, isn't it? It says that you should not worship any other God apart from me, isn't it? So if you train your child this way when the person is still young, will he grow up to be doing another thing? It will be very difficult. You find out that if you go to homes where the parents are disciplinarians, find out that their child are always afraid of doing the wrong thing, isn't it? Because they were trained up in the fear of the Lord. So we are going to examine a story that looks at this in the Bible. So we are going to look at the sins of Hophni and who? Phinehas. We are going to look at this. So you're going to be writing as I talk. So let's examine this. Let's examine this very story in the Bible. The sins of Hophni and Phinehas. Eli was a priest in Israel. Eli was a priest in Israel. He was a priest. Eli was a priest in Israel. You copy later. Eli was a priest in Israel. When he became old, his two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, succeeded him. They were wayward. Can be looking at this place. They were wayward. They were wayward children. They had no regard for God. They were greedy, corrupt, and treated the offering of the Lord with contempt. They took the meat of sacrifice raw instead of allowing it to boil. At times, they took it by force. They took bribes and prevented justice. Apart from this, they lay with women who served at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. They blasphemed God. So what is this saying about the two sons of Eli? They were not trained with the earth. You see, very bad behavior. God's warning. Meanwhile, God sent a man of God to Eli to warn him about his sons' misdeeds. He was even told that they would perish together on the same day. It was therefore time for God to take action, because Eli was unable to reform them in spite of rebuke. He was warned that God would withdraw the privilege of priesthood from his family and leave no old man again in his family. However, Eli, their father, now old, did his best to caution his children over their sins, but he did not back it up with action. He did not do what? So when you are trying to correct your kids, you're supposed to do what? Back it up with that. If you keep shouting, sometimes you need to tell the kid to kneel down and raise their hands, isn't it? Sometimes you might even have to prevent him from eating for just a short period. You understand? To let him know that what he's doing is wrong. Isn't it? Sometimes you have to deprive him of some things. He wants to have new clothes. You say, I will not get you this unless you change. Isn't it? So Eli did not back up what he was doing to correct his kids with action. The boys refused to repent and return to the path of righteousness. God had already been preparing young Samuel to succeed Eli. Samuel, a little boy, was ministering to the Lord in Eli's house. God revealed himself to Samuel, telling all that he planned to do against the house of Eli because of the sins of Eli's son. All Eli could make was a deficit, clumsy comment. It is the Lord, let him do what it seems good to him. That's the kind of comment that some people make, isn't it? Some people, instead of going into the workplace, instead of finding a job, they will sit in the house and do things. You see a family that will have children up to 20 and you are not doing anything. You make that simple statement that it is the Lord that gives children. Have you seen people say that it is the Lord that gives children, so you just keep bearing children as much as you can, and after you expect the Lord to come from heaven and come and train those kids, send them to school, provide food for them? Is that the right comment to make? Huh? No, you have to live with the prevailing time, or what we are having, the prevailing economic situation has to advise you on whatever you are doing, isn't it? You can't just say it is the Lord's doing. Every night, you meet your wife every night. You understand? After some seasons, there are kids. You keep doing it, you keep doing it, you keep doing it. He says the Lord's. Is it the Lord's? I don't think it's the Lord, it's yours. So the statement Eli made when he was ministered that God was going to perish, destroy the kids. This is what he said. It is the Lord. Let him do what seems good to him. That is to say, he accepted with philosophical calmness the fate he was certain to come to pass. Then God punishment. Thus, there came a year between Israel and their arch rivals, Philistia, in which Israel was routed, slaughtered beyond belief, and scattered terribly. The defeat was total and conclusive that the surviving soldiers ran home. Altogether, 30,000 foot soldiers were slaughtered that day. Eli's two sons became war casualties. God had enumerated one after the other all he would do to Eli's house. All what God said came through. So Eli's sons were the what? Casualties of the war. What does that mean? They were among the people that died. Eli, on hearing the news and hearing that the ark of God was captured, died instantly. Eli died. And in the beginning of this story, we say that Eli was who? A priest of God. Imagine that. He was not able to train the kids very well. And what happened to the kids? They were destroyed by God, isn't it? And on hearing the news, him too did what? Can you see the consequences of not training your kids very well? It can even bring about your own what? It can even bring about your own what? Your own death and destruction. Not just the kids. So that's why we say that the divine role of parents to their children is what? To train them up in the fear of the what? Lord. Very, very important. That's their parental function. Phineas' pregnant wife, on hearing this disheartening news, especially the death of her husband, gave birth to a premature baby boy named Ichabod, meaning the glory has departed from Israel. She also died after the childbirth. The whole of Eli's family was wiped out in one day, and the priesthood fell on Samuel, who had been ministering under Eli. Can you see the calamity that befell them? To the extent that the whole of priesthood now left Eli's family to whose family? Samuel. It's very, very important to train your kids very, very well. Very, very important to train them. Very, very what? Important. The sins of Samuel's son. Upon Eli's death, Samuel began to rule Israel. You understand? When everything has been taken from Eli, now to who? Samuel. Samuel began to rule Israel. But when he became old, he made his sons, Joel and who? Abijah. He made them judges over Israel. They judged from Beersheba. However, his sons did not walk in his ways, but followed the path of Eli's sons by taking bribes and preventing justice. You see? Similar thing is almost about to happen. Thus, the whole Israel rejected them as judges and came to Samuel at Ramah, demanding a king. Having lost confidence in his sons, this was the beginning of the introduction of kingship to the nation of Israel. You see, the Israel they were being led by who? Leaders and priests. But because of what the sons of Samuel did, now they started to demand for what? King. The original focus on God as their king now shifted to earthly king. You understand? Initially it was God that was their king. Now it shifted to earthly king. It shifted to what? Earthly king. Can you see that? So all these things are portraying the fact that there should be proper training of your what? Children. If you don't do that, you are going to suffer. And when you suffer, when they suffer, it's also likely that you do what? It's also likely that you do what? You also suffer. So we're going to look at an example here again of Asa, king of Judah, who ruled when Jeroboam ruled Israel. He reigned for 41 years. Asa was the son of Abijah, who ruled before him and was described as one of Judah's worst kings. However, Asa rejected his father's bad example. In fact, Asa was the direct opposite of Eli and Samuel's sons. Asa succeeded his father and did what was right in the eyes of God. You understand? So this person actually did a different thing, and God did a lot of good things for him. So what is the lesson for today in essence? Parents should always bring up their kids in the fear of the Lord.